Bonham, Texas is a pretty small town. There's only about 10,000 people that live here. And this is Bonham High School. And back in the early 90s, Bonham High School had a student that used to attend classes here on the campus. Her name was Jennifer Harris. And she was described by her friends and family as being kind of funny, goofy, vivacious, just a young, beautiful woman who has her whole life ahead of her. Jennifer was also a cheerleader for the Fighting Purple Warriors out here in Bonham High School. So on certain game days, she would have either been cheering her team on at the football field over there, or the baseball diamond over there, or the softball field over here. Bonham High School also had another pupil that attended classes right here behind me. His name was Rob Holman, and Jennifer and Rob were basically high school sweethearts, or you could even say junior high school sweethearts. They have been together for a long time. So after Jennifer graduates Bonham High School, she attends Stephen F. Austin University in Nacogdoches, and she would end up getting degrees in marine biology and nutrition. So after college, she would move down to Dallas, Texas, and Rob would follow her down there. And they made a life for themselves down in Dallas, Texas. Jennifer loves it. She loves the big city. It's a nice break away from like the small town mundane life that Bonham offers, which is a good thing for most residents here in town. However, Rob doesn't too much care for it. He doesn't like the big city. He's used to just kind of quiet, cattle and just no traffic and running into the store and seeing a couple people that he's not used to going to a store and everybody's a stranger. So while Rob and Jennifer are living down in Dallas, Jennifer is going to school because she wants to be a massage therapist. Now, while she's going to school, she meets a guy that's her classmate. He's going to school to be a massage therapist as well. His name is James Hamilton. And they somehow hit it off there. Obviously, they're both attracted to each other. I mean, why would she talk to him if she didn't think he was kind of cute? Obviously, he thinks she's cute. And he seems to be into the same kind of stuff that she's into, like outdoorsy stuff and, nature and healing and all that good stuff. And, when they go to college, right? College could be a battleground politically, of course, but also a battleground for feelings and emotions, and people change, people become different folks. College is supposed to be a place of learning within its infrastructure and also within yourself too. And Jennifer starts thinking now, the way my life, where it's going, I don't think that I'm going the same place that my husband Rob is going, right? So their relationship is hitting the skids. Rob wants to come back up here to Bonham, and she has her eyes set on somebody else. Now, there's only, however, one problem when it comes to this James character. What's the problem, you might ask? Well, James kind of has a girlfriend. Okay, not a big deal. I'm sure Jennifer's a lot more attractive, and her personality is a lot better than what James has going on. However, there's another problem. James has a child with this woman. That further complicates the situation. And there's another problem in this situation, because James is on his way on having a second child, right? So you got a little tiny boy, right? Or girl. And then you got another bun in the oven. But James really likes her. And I mean, who wouldn't? Jennifer would be a good catch. So, he tells, so James goes to, his girlfriend. He's like, take a hike. Exactly. Get out of here, scram, beat it. However, they broke up. So James and Jennifer, they would get together. Jennifer tells Rob the same thing. Take a hike, beat it, scram like an egg, make it like a tree and leave, go back to Bonham. I don't care, whatever she told him. And so Rob comes back up to Bonham and he goes back to doing whatever the hell it is that he does. And Jennifer and James, they get together and their dream is to open up their own massage parlor, right? A massage wellness center, right? So they went ahead and opened it up. They opened it up either in Louisville or Frisco, somewhere in that area, north of Dallas. So, they're like, yeah, this is, we're just going to open up this business and everybody's just going to come. And, they're like, woo, this is so great, right? We all have these great, grandiose ideas when we open up businesses, don't we? And, little did she know is that, like, well, it's not that her business is stupid. No. It's just possibly the wrong location, possibly the wrong time, possibly they didn't have enough money to, for bills for the year. Because when you open up a business, that's kind of what you need if you want it to be successful, unless sometimes you just get lucky. So their relationship is starting to crumble because now Jennifer, the business is going badly, things are getting stressed out. I'm sure there's other situations. Hello, James has 2 kids. You can't expect as a woman to get involved with a man that has kids, especially when they're little, because that's when they really need their dad around their lives, is when they're little. So they end up splitting. The business goes kaput. And so not only has Jennifer lost her husband, Rob, she's also lost the boyfriend, James, and she's lost her business. Her life is just it's just shattered. So she ends up leaving the apartment that they shared down south, and well, she comes back to Bonham. She has a lot of thinking to do. I mean, I'm sure she has some kind of student loans to pay off. Hopefully she got a scholarship. But regardless of that, she's got to figure out, now at this time, she's like 27-ish, 27-ish, somewhere around that age. And, she's going to be 30 in a few years. So she's thinking, okay, let me come back home. I'm going to go stay with my grandmother and then kind of let me just figure out what I'm going to be doing. Now, Jennifer is back from where it all started. So at the moment, she's kind of not knowing what she wants to do in her life. She doesn't even know if she wants to stay in Texas. She's talking about wanting to move to Colorado. She just wants to move to like a place that has nature, outdoors, activities, things of that nature. So she ends up coming back here and she goes to stay with her grandmother. Now, those who are closely involved in this story, tell me if I'm wrong. I want to say that home right there is where Jennifer, her grandmother, Virginia, used to live. And I want to say she's staying at this home. So, it's Mother's Day, May 12, 2002. So, Jennifer, she tells her grandmother, hey, I'm going to go to my friend Christy's house. Now, at this time, Jennifer has not a secret, but it's kind of a secret, but something came up. And that is, well, she thinks she's pregnant. Now, she hasn't taken a pregnancy test, but a woman knows her own body. And she told somebody, she said, hey, I think I'm pregnant and it's Rob's. Now, at this time when she moved back up here, Rob already had a new girlfriend. So he's doing his own thing. However, Jennifer and Rob, they're still kind of messing around because, listen, she's comfortable with him. Yeah, they had a falling out. She left him. They got a divorce, blah, blah, blah. But she still has feelings for him, and I'm sure he still has feelings for her. Now, on that day when she's at her friend's house, she says, hey, I got to go meet up with somebody. It's about 8 o'clock. So she leaves Christy's house. She jumps into her green Jeep and she heads off down the road. And that would be the last time that anybody's seen her alive. The following morning, Jennifer's grandmother realizes that she never came home last night. And she gets worried, and the hours slip on during the day, and finally the family members, they file a missing persons report. Now, at first, the Fannin County Sheriff's deputies, they're probably not taking it too seriously until a couple days pass. Then they are. Now, by the third day that Jennifer's been missing, the detectives, they bring in both James Hamilton and Rob Holman for questioning. Now, you can say that James has a pretty airtight alibi. He was over an hour away eating at McDonald's with a friend of his. And they cooperated with the friend that he was in fact with them. And I'm sure they must have showed some kind of receipt just to make sure, hey, I don't know where she's at. I have nothing to do with this. Now, they talked to Rob, and he says, I don't know where she's at. The last time I seen her was a few days ago. I seen her driving on such and such intersection, and, I didn't want to see her because, she's an ex, and it's just kind of weird, so I just kind of avoided her. And so, as the family's getting more and more worried, sadly, they got the worst news of their entire lives. So on the 18th of May, a fisherman that was fishing at the Red River, which is right in front of you right here. This river separates Texas from Oklahoma. And they see something in the water. And as they get closer, they realize, oh my God, that looks like a human body. Now, I say looks like because at this point in time now, it has been almost a week since Jennifer has been missing. And the body is horribly decomposed. I've seen bodies when I used to have to do the community service at the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. And one time I did see a body that they found in the water. It was terrible. It is something that you do not want to see. As a matter of fact, the body was so badly decomposed that they couldn't determine the cause of death other than on the autopsy report, it says death by homicidal violence. So now we come to the part of the story, which is why I'm actually interested in doing this story, and that is the bungling investigation that was done on the part of the Fannin County Sheriff's Office. Now, when they discover her body, like I said, the autopsy report was inconclusive when it came to how she was murdered. And first of all, let's talk about the evidence that they lost, which was practically everything involved in the case. I guess she had some clothing in her vehicle. Whatever was in there with her, be it her bra, her jeans, or what have you, that was lost. The Jeep was not sealed. So the idiots at the Fannin County Sheriff's Office, they're going into the Jeep and looking at stuff, and then they just tow it. No dusting of fingerprints, no swabbing of anything. And then you also have one of the investigators who I don't know what their name is, right? So you have a grieving family that they just found out that their daughter was murdered and was found in a very horrible fashion. So one of the investigators says, I really, really like the laptop that Jennifer left behind in her vehicle. Can I have it? It gets better. It gets better than that. So one of the investigators, I don't know who they approached, one of the family members, and they said, you know what, I really, really like that Jeep. And since she's dead, hey, would you mind if I just went ahead and took over the payments? Yeah, I mean, how many payments are left? What, like only 20? Well, I mean, she's dead, so who cares? Yeah, I'll go ahead and take over the payments. And of course, they said no. I could not, that alone is why I wanted to do this story. It infuriated me. Made me very, very angry. So let's go back to Rob's interview with the police. So 3 days after Jennifer had disappeared, when they had brought in Rob Holman to, ask him where he was the night that she disappeared, he says, the night she disappeared, well, he did admit, I did see her on the intersection. Later, her Jeep was found on County Road 2610. And he said, yeah, that night I was driving around the country roads here in Bonham drinking beer. Okay. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I was just drinking beer for about 5 hours. So he says, you know what bothers me is that, they ask him, well, is it because your ex-wife is missing? And he says, no, well, that, but also I don't have an alibi for where I was. So you guys are going to be pretty much looking at me thinking that I killed her. Now, he didn't say that last part, but that's what he's thinking in his mind. He's thinking, I don't have an alibi for where I was. And he knows deep down inside, he is a person of interest in this story. Now, again, we got to circle back to 3 days after her disappearance. Nobody's been found. Nobody knows if she's dead or alive. For all we know, she could have just took a road trip out to Utah just to see the mountains. So if you're being questioned by the police, I can understand that, you're like, okay, obviously they're probably going to want to know where I was, and you want to help the investigators find your ex-wife. But it's kind of odd when he talks about, well, I don't have an alibi. Well, who the hell is, it's like, why are you worried about that? She could just gone on a road trip. So that's already weird right there. And then you factor in that, a lot of these smaller counties, they don't get a lot of crime, right? So, you got some media people who covered this story and they were bashing the deputies, and I bashed them too, because they just messed up this whole investigation. There should have been a person that killed her. And listen, between, you and me, whoever's watching, we all know who killed Jennifer Harris. There's only two people that the investigators were looking at. It was her ex-boyfriend and her ex-husband. And the ex-boyfriend has his alibi is already sealed. But Rob Holman, the ex-husband, drinking beer by himself. Nobody knows where he was the evening of May 12th, 2002. But he was just drinking beer by himself, driving around for 5 hours. And so, the investigators are looking at this guy and they're like, okay, we don't know where you were. You were by yourself. Nobody knows where you were. But my question is this. Let's say the main person of interest is Rob Holman, right? My question is, why would he want to kill her? Now, he has a girlfriend. I don't know how serious they are. And could it be that she told him, hey, I'm pregnant with your kid, and he didn't want the kid, so he just eliminated both problems because of the new girlfriend? I have no idea. And also, what bothers me about this case is that when Jennifer left Christy's house that night, when she told her, hey, I'm going to go meet up with somebody, why didn't she just say who she was going to go meet up with? Maybe she didn't want to say who it was because that person has a girlfriend and they didn't want them to think any less of her. That's when we start playing, the guessing game on these kinds of stories. So you basically have an unsolved murder that everybody here in Bonham pretty much knows who did it. And conveniently enough, there was a caretaker shack by the Red River, and the night that Jennifer went missing, it just by dumb luck burnt down to the ground. So what are the chances of that shack burning down the same night she goes missing, and then her body is found floating in the Red River? And to add another sad factor of this story, we're gonna drive about 2 miles down the road to the Fannin County Sheriff's Office. On June 4th, 2024, about 9:30 a.m., 76-year-old Jerry Harris comes to the Fannin County Sheriff's Office right here. And this is where he decided to take his own life, right in this very parking lot. And by the time some deputies came out, it was already far too late. Now, he did leave a couple notes, and basically the reason for him taking his own life was that he said he was tired of fighting his health problems. He also left another note for the sheriff, basically saying that his daughter's murder and their poor investigation of the crime was not the reason why he decided to do it here. He basically said that he wanted to do it here to make it easier for first responders to get here. So, a man who for 20-something years wanting to find and bring to justice the person who killed his daughter, with this sheriff's office bungling investigation, decided to just leave this planet right here. A very tragic tale of events in this story, and that's usually what my content is about, but even more so in this matter. Every dog has its day, I promise you. Rest in peace to both father and daughter. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. I gotta go back into town, and then I don't know where I'm going. Somewhere. Peace out.